What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Brock Talk Podcast, real talks with a real dude about real things. Thank you for tuning in. Before we get any farther, do me a solid. Wherever you're at, do the cool things that the cool people do on the cool platforms to make the cool things even cooler, more cool. Those things would be if you're on Spotify, hit that follow button. That way, every time a podcast is uploaded, which you guys know is very random, very unorganized, that way you're informed and you're updated about it and you're notified. If you are watching on YouTube, hit subscribe. Again, just to follow along. To even follow along even more, you can hit the notification bell somewhere, wherever it is. Again, you'll be notified whenever the podcast is dropped. And then the last thing I want you to do is hit like right now. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button. It is much appreciated. But anyways, guys, welcome back. It's been a minute. Yeah. To be honest, I will indulge in this. I'll give you the scoop on what's been going on. I've recorded probably 5 or 6 actual episodes of this, or tried to at least, and they just fall off the cliff. I get about 20, 30 minutes in, and I don't like it. I've also tried having some guests on. I did a triplet podcast, so I had 2 guests on with myself. So I had a couple buddies on. The mic situation was not great. That is why I'm using this brand new microphone. I haven't mentioned it yet. I will say, if there's any noise problems, any audio problems, it's probably because this microphone, it's not the best. So I've been trying to figure it out. I don't think it's great. But before I got this, we tried recording that podcast, and it was awful. I was using like a lavalier microphone. Let me see if I can find it. I was using this thing to talk. So look at this microphone if you're watching the video. This big bad boy, compared to this little guy. That's what I was using. Normally, this isn't bad if it's in like in a controlled environment and there's only one person speaking, or everyone that is speaking is using this. But we were using the microphones I've had prior, plus this one. So this was the third option because I didn't have 2 other good ones. And the audio was just shit. It was just shit. I was getting a lot of echo in this one. There was a lot of cutting I had to do to make it like even somewhat listenable. And about 10 minutes, 20 minutes of doing that, I'm like, this is stupid. This stuff, guys, this podcast is supposed to be fun for me. I don't want it to be frustrating or time consuming or anything like that. So when shit like that happens, whether it's like an audio issue or like I just hate the episode and like I'm getting frustrated, I can it. I call it quits because I don't want it to be a struggle. I don't want it to provide stressors in my life. I want it to be a stress reliever. So that is why we've been a little absent here. So it's not due to the lack of trying. It's just due to the lack of quality that I feel it needs to be at some level, right? Like I just don't want to throw out anything, but I also don't want it to be like super time consuming and a lot of work to make it like really, really good. Because I know I do feel I have like the talent and the ability to produce and create a pretty damn good podcast. But just with the other things I got going on, like with my wedding edits and things like that, I don't have all the time to put into this. So it's going to be very lighthearted, very simple, and just that. So the production value is going to be there in some degree, but not crazy until, who knows, maybe it blows up. We'll see. But anyways, that's kind of the update for you guys and the housekeeping, why we've been away. But we're back, and I'm ready to talk about struggles. So again, while we're on that topic, just struggles in general, man. Let's talk about struggles and how they're relative. So that's kind of my overarching theme of this episode, at least in the beginning. Who knows where we'll go from here, but just talking about why struggle is relative. I actually took some notes today, people, so yay, give me a thumbs up. Like that button, hit that like button, because I took notes today. But yeah, I was just thinking this going forward as I'm just kind of going through my life, whether it's just daily stuff, job, career, extracurricular activities, like making stupid stuff like this, or just like working out and trying to be healthier, and just anything, just the generality of struggle, how it's relative person to person. Not everyone experiences the same struggles at the same parameters and in the same levels as other people, from the same thing. Me and you, whoever's watching and listening, we could experience the same thing, yet experience different struggles from that, if that makes any fucking sense. Like me and you could both experience a traumatizing thing in our lives, like maybe someone dies, or we have something happen to us. And though that thing is the same, we both experience it very, very differently. And that's what I mean by how struggle is relative, because not one struggle is the same as the other, and it shouldn't be looked at like that. I know a lot of times in society and just in our general life, we like point fingers at people that are going through things that we feel are maybe a little bit minor, and we don't feel are as significant as maybe what we're going through, which I feel that's a little bit egocentric. There's a little bit of hubris on us, being that we think our struggles are the hierarchy of struggles. They're not. Everyone goes through them. But I see that a lot. I see us pointing fingers or judging and making comments about people that are going through something and are experiencing something that is either traumatic or causing some type of struggle in their life, right? And we don't necessarily sympathize with it. We want to. Everyone always talks about it. But more often than not, we go towards the judgment side of it rather than the sympathetic side of it. And I think if we have that in our brain and in our mindset of like struggle's relative, not every struggle is the same, not every experience is going to be experienced the same. When we can wrap our head around that, I think we can be more sympathetic to people that are going through something. Obviously, there's certain generalities, like a pet dying is a lot different than like a relative dying, like a grandma or something like that. But sometimes the essence of struggle and of a traumatic experience might be on the same level of those things for each individual. Like someone might have a bond with a pet that succeeds maybe a relative bond. And again, I don't want to say like it undermines it, because it doesn't. Because again, just going back to it, struggle is relative. But you can have a bond with an animal or a pet that really develops a struggle once they're passed. And though, again, it's not looked at as the same as a grandma or an uncle or a relative dying, they could possibly be experienced the same because of the connection that you have with that person or that pet. So it's just trying to understand that and be more sympathetic to it, and just be more openly minded of, hey, you might be going through something. I might not understand it, but I can still sympathize with it because I know struggle's the same. It's just not experienced the same through similar things. So it's going back to that idea of sparing judgment of someone that is wanting sympathy for their struggle. Have that open mind, have that open connection of like, hey, like they lost their job, but I lost a grandparent. Like, you shouldn't have any spite towards them for like being in a depressed state. I know a lot of people like to be kind of in that environment of like, you know what? Like, you know what I've done? You know what I've developed into because of the things that I've gone through? It is way harder and it was way more of a struggle than what you're going through. That's not the case. That is definitely not the case. So you have to spare that judgment because, again, maybe in your eyes it's different. And from a general perspective, it's obviously different. Like if someone loses their whole family, in a traumatic incident compared to you lost something or your job or your pet or whatever. Again, it just goes back to, yes, definitely not the same. I feel like one would be harder to go through, obviously, but struggle's still struggle, and it's having that realization on both sides of it, on the side of it, of course, of like, hey, you're going through something. I don't understand it fully, but I can sympathize with it because I've been in struggling environments and situations. So though they're not the same, though I might feel it's not as severe as what you're making it out to be, I don't necessarily know that. So I can't put that label on it, right? I can't put the label of like, this is a minor struggle. In the grand scheme of things, probably, but in the moment, who knows? Who knows if what they're experiencing isn't different than what you experienced? So it just comes down to perspective, having an open perspective, an open sense of mind. Like our perspectives are different, but our understanding can be the same. That is hard for you to go through right now. I understand that. I don't necessarily comprehend it to its fullest degree, but I can still comprehend what a kind of struggle is, what a loss is, what a traumatic experience is. So it's just having that open sense of mind and that open perspective, because we're not all equal. We're not all equal, though we like to maybe try to think of it like that, and we try to build society around that. Maybe not. We're not equal. Everyone goes through different things. Everyone experiences things very differently. Everyone gets different breaks. Everyone gets different pitfalls in their life. And it's just life, We can't go through society thinking there it has to be a sense of equality. Maybe on some degree, possibly, with certain elements we feel we can control, but for the most part, no. Because that's just not what it's like. Equal is never going to occur because everybody's different. And everyone has different abilities, has different opportunities, has different upbringings, and that all plays a factor. So when you try to paint it gray and make it out to be like it's one-dimensional, it's not. Nothing's ever going to be like that for the most part. So again, it's just going back to that understanding of understanding that not every struggle is created equal, and what is hard for someone may be easy for someone, and vice versa. So it's what's easy or hard of one may not be easy or hard of the other. If that makes any sense. And that's something I'm really trying to comprehend, both from a interpersonal level. So if I'm trying to interact with someone, I have that selfish mindset at times. I'm human like anyone else, and I have my flaws, and I have my judgments and my certain views that I find in the moment for that latch on certain emotions for whatever reason, most of the time wrong, whether it's anger or jealousy or whatever. I experience those things. So I'm trying in my personal life to understand that. That way, when someone brings up something of struggle in their life, and I don't necessarily either agree with it or I can't comprehend it or understand it because I don't know to its fullest degree what it's like, my knee-jerk reaction is to either put judge or envy or like whatever on it. It's like, like someone brings up like, oh man, I didn't get my bonus this year, or my bonus was this last. Like, dude, I would love to have a fucking bonus. Like, just understanding that. Or going back to the loss thing, it's like someone says like, oh my God, my dog died of so over years. I'm like, dude, my grandma died last week. You don't know anything of what you're talking about. No, that's not the case. Their struggle, their hardship, their heartache can be just the same, can be felt the same, experienced the same. Our brains don't necessarily comprehend trauma on a linear scale, right? So it's like, oh, my dog died. I shouldn't feel this bad because it could be worse. And obviously it's having that perspective too. So there's two sides to it, of course. You could try to train yourself to adapt and evolve into a thought process of like that. But at the time, that's a scary road to go down, because then you start getting into the idea of like being really emotionless and like trying to have a positive outlook all the time. That is impossible, guys. That is impossible to have like a devil's advocate positivity spin on everything. Like, oh, could be worse, could be worse, could be worse, could be worse. Yeah, like that is definitely positive, and it's definitely something that I agree with. Like, you should try to be as positive as possible, but not to the sake of undermining certain things. You know, like trying not to feel sad or depressed at times, or upset or angry even. You know, it's like you have to let those emotions run a little bit. You have to maybe put them on a short leash, but at least a leash of some kind, right? You have to give them some type of roam, because that just builds you into a better person. It evolves you and grows you and molds you, because you start to experience different things. And the more you can experience, the more, going back to it, you can sympathize of others' experiences. But it's to thought. It's having the understanding of, I need to broaden myself and think more in depth and experience more. But then once I have those experiences, I have to understand and not be selfish with them, not to build them into a egocentric monster to where now it's like nothing exterior that is going on in anyone else's life is as important as mine, and as hard of a struggle as mine. Like that's how we get a little bit of a narcissistic tendencies to ourselves. So yeah, just having the understanding of experiencing and growing and developing and bringing sympathy and a sense of a different understanding to others when you go through those things. And then I think if you can adapt to those things and really evolve yourself, you again can start experiencing struggles to their fullest benefit, because they are a benefit. Struggles need to occur in our lives. We need to experience hardship and pain because of the experiences and the knowledge that can come with it. Because if we don't experience hardship, we'll never know what the other side of the fence is like. So the more you can embrace struggle, the more you can embody it, the better off you're going to be. Now, I don't mean to like make all the foolish mistakes and just kind of let life happen. You know, you have to put yourself in certain parameters. You have to have some discipline and a disciplined mindset. But with a little bit of wiggle room, with a little bit of freedom, with a little bit of a leash to roam on, to embrace struggles. Otherwise, you never will, and you'll never grow, and you'll never understand of struggles in general, and of how everyone's struggle is different. We don't all experience it the same, and we don't all go through life the same. So don't be afraid to embrace struggle. Don't be afraid to change your mindset on struggle, and understand that is relative. Struggle is relative. And we all experience it, but we experience it in different ways. So the more we can understand that, the more we can evolve from it and have more compassion and more understanding. And I feel from that, our society can start to grow more as a whole. We always see perspectives differently, and we're almost trained in the media outlets that we have now, and the certain perspectives that we have and the accessibility of it. We're trained to be egocentric with it, to point fingers and to point blame and to not have compassion and not have empathy. And that's the wrong way to go about it. You don't have to agree with everyone. You don't have to be on the same page as everyone, because like I said, that's never going to happen. That can never occur. Equality will never be a full arcing thing, right? We're not all equal. We're never going to be equal. So if we can understand that, but then have the sympathy and the discipline and understanding to compromise and have compassion for that, I think we're going to be better off as a society. We'll be better off having hard talks, rather than turning the other cheek or pointing the blame and just going right to the differential of it, rather than trying to find understanding, trying to find connection from the disconnection. That's what we don't do in society, especially in this political environment that we're in. We're not trying to find a connection. We're trying to highlight the disconnection. And that's our biggest flaw. That's our biggest flaw as a society, is trying to go to the negative side of it, to the disconnect, and not trying to work through those disconnections to find the common connection that can build and grow upon. My beliefs are going to be different than yours. My ideas are going to be different than yours, but my compassion and my understanding should try to be the same. We should all try to have the same type of understanding and compassion. And it just goes back to it. It'll never be 100%. But as long as we can try and hopefully keep on trying, those connections that we tend to start to find, we can build upon and maybe build more connections from our disconnections. One would hope. But what do I know, man? I just talk. I'm just another dude. That's what this is. It's just real talks with a real dude about real things. Take it at face value, take it for what it's worth, but that's just what I know. Oh, let's talk about something a little bit more lighthearted to finish this off. I am so ready for like the full-on fall. It is at this moment, September 29th. So we've been really flirting with fall right now. We've been flirting with hoodie season. If you don't know me and if you don't have me on any social platforms, I love hoodie season. I love fall. I love spring. I love that transitional time of years where the climate's like perfect, like between 50 to 60 degrees. I feel like that's just the perfect weather to just do things or do nothing. And what I bring that up is because I'm sitting here and I'm trying to be comfy. Like I'm wearing the most comfy clothes I know I have, but I'm not comfy because my body temperature is just hot. Because yeah, I'm wearing a hoodie. My mom gives me shit for it all the time. She's like, it's damn near 80 degrees outside. Why do you have a hoodie on? Because it's comfy, all right? And we're in comfy time. We're in comfy time of year. But no, has to be about 80, 90 degrees out still. Can we get past that? So once October hits in the next couple days, please, just stay under 60 degrees. That's all I ask. 65 even. 45 to 65. That's like the realm I want to live in. I know like 45 is pretty cold, but here's the deal, guys. Here's why I think colder is better. Because you can regulate yourself a little bit better. You can put on more shit. Put on a jacket. Put on an extra pair of socks. Put on some long johns under your clothes. And you can always put on more. That's the biggest thing about being more cold is you can regulate it easier. On the other hand, when it's hot and you take them layers off because you understand it's hot, it's going to come to a point where there's nothing to take off. So now you're still miserable, but you're naked. And that is like, that's the definition I feel of hell. You see all those pictures, those oldie pictures, but you see all them paintings of hell and people are naked and they're burning up. You don't see someone's like interpretation of hell. That was an oldie painting, old-timey painting from the Renaissance, just from a day in July. Them people burning up with all the demonic people around them and the demons flying around them. That was just July 22nd. So, in my opinion, it is always better to have the opportunity and the option to take or put more clothes on because it's colder, rather than have the option of taking all your clothes off and still being miserable and having to sit next to an AC unit or sit inside. And that is why July and August sucks. And that is why I wish September would be a little bit more colder and hopefully October can come sooner. So it actually is cold. And hopefully it is. Because if I get another 90-degree weather in like mid-October, I'm going to have it. I am going to be livid. All right, I think that's going to be it for the episode, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the Brock Talk. Please, like I said at the beginning of the show, follow on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube, like on YouTube, and then share it on all your other socials. Put it on the gram, put it on Twitter, put it on Facebook. Let the people know, let the people know, especially if you gain something out of this. I'm trying to keep the blend of seriousness with lightheartedness, so hopefully this was a good episode. And if you thought it was and you got something from it and gained something from it, I'm sure someone else would like to do that as well, and I feel like they would. So if you could do those things for me, guys, I would really appreciate it. And other than that, that's going to end the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.